What's up, beautiful people? You already know this is your boy Levar, aka Ramsey, the editor-in-chief of Snub Magazine. And today on the sit down, we have a very special guest. Some of you may know who this individual is because you've seen him in different locations, but on the sit down, I don't introduce the guests introduce themselves. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and let our guests introduce themselves.
Sup, snub, man. Let's get our snub on. It's been a challenge, but we're working it out. We're still here.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is Javon Johnson, producer, actor, writer, director, acting teacher, writer, teacher. A lot of you guys know me as Richard Halson on Tyler Perry's The Oval. Coming back October the 28th. So second half of season 6. So make sure you lock in.
Definitely, definitely. Well, number one, thank you. We've been working on this interview for a minute now.
Yeah,
But
here.
we're going to knock it out. But like we said, the sit down, it's not an interview, it's a conversation. So let's jump right into it. You're a man that wears many hats, and have many accomplishments under your belt. How did this all start for you, and where did this all start for you on this journey?
Well, you know what? Some things you know, some things you don't know. Where I am today wasn't what was in my mind as a child. As a
Okay.
young boy. I'm from Anderson, South Carolina, which a lot of people know is the birthplace, hometown of the late great Chadwick Boseman, who was on Black Panther. So Chadwick and I were really close friends, but that community at the time in the 80s, 90s was not a community where young aspiring artists were abundant. We weren't talking about being writers and authors and being on TV and making movies. We was talking about going into the industrial textile industry, put in 30, 40 years, get that good paycheck,
Right.
health and benefits, and live a good life, a
Right.
couple of BMWs and a dog and a family. That was a lifestyle, or, nursing, or maybe the church is where you had some talent, doing things in the church. So I kind of really I look back at where I am now, and a lot like how pastors are called to preach, I feel like I was called to do this unknowingly so. Um, and I kind of just say that I just didn't get in the way. I didn't know where I was headed. Going to college wasn't something that my family did on my mother's side of the family. College wasn't even on my mind. I went to college because my high school choir director stopped me in the middle hall in the hall one day and said, "You're going to go to South Carolina State University." It was HBCU, and I was thinking about going to the plant.
Right.
She was like, "You're going to go," and got me a choir scholarship. I didn't think I would ever get a scholarship, and I can't sing. So how the irony of that was just it got me to higher education. But that wasn't by my doing, that wasn't
Right.
by that was just the angels sent to me. I was being guided. And at the end of the day, I just said, I say that I was being guided to a place of the unknown, and I just didn't get in the way of the ride. And that's how I got here.
Definitely. Like you said, you played many roles, and one of them that we many of us know. And one of our previous covers, we always are surrounded by people from the Oval, which, like you said, which is coming back. What was that experience like for you, being on that cast? I say this on to other people when I have conversations. You can tell sometimes when a cast is around each other, by how they communicate on the show. You could feel the energy off of it, and everybody feeds off of each other. And on the
Yeah.
Oval, you could see that. Like it's like a family, a community. How is it
Yeah.
being on set, and how was that a journey for you by coming in into the cast? How was that for you?
Well, I'll start by saying this. It's interesting because Walter Fauntleroy, who plays Sam, also is my character Richard's best friend and
Right.
godfather to his son. Walter and I, before getting cast in the Oval, had not seen each other for a number of years, but Walter starred in a short film that I wrote
Wow.
initially for Chadwick Boseman to star in. But Chadwick also, a lot of people may or may not be aware that he was really, wanting to, really put his foot in as a director. So when I wrote the short, Chad and I was going back and forth about it, and Chad was like, well, he wanted to direct it. And, we went back and forth about it, but he then ended up directing the short film in LA. And we ended up casting, well, he ended up casting Walter.
Mm.
But Walter does the short film with myself and Chadwick. Hadn't seen Walter in years, and then here comes the Oval, and we had already had that brotherhood already. So when you see the show, you're actually seeing two people who really was reunited via that show, who already had a bond. prior. So it just made sense that he was Rich's best friend, just coincidentally.
But
So
right.
we love that. We love that we have that natural bond, that natural chemistry on the show. And the other thing about working at TPS and on the Oval might be one of his largest cast shows, I think. But because the demands are such on the talent in terms of how Tyler works and at the speed that he works, it's almost like you have to be a family by default. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like a sinking
Right.
ship. It's like we gonna go individually drown, or we gonna stick
Right.
together and try to survive this ship together. So
Right.
by condition, a lot of times we are family because we're in the same position and we're trying to achieve the same goals under the same
Right.
circumstances. So we really try to lean into each other, and because it's not easy, you know what I mean? And if anybody thinks that it's easy, it's not easy at all. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of focus, it's a lot of staying on top of things, and it's pretty demanding in terms of the actors really being a part of keeping the train moving. So yeah, you see a cast of folks that's really grinding, digging in, trying to get the season, get the season shot and and not fall off the ship. So we
Right.
all each other.
Right, definitely. And kind of I want to piggyback off of something you were saying even about like even the friendship that you have and the networking that you had already. A lot of people don't understand that this industry is a tight-knit industry.
Yeah,
And me and you've had this conversation before where we talk about like even in the networking of things, we look at how people interact with each other, not just off the screen, I mean on the screen, but off the screen as well. And by you guys having that camaraderie already together and knowing each other, it was able to play an intricate role in what it is now that we see on the oval. How important is it? We talked about it, but I want you to kind of
yeah,
tap into it.
yeah.
How important is it about your network and your circle that you are around?
Well, here's the thing I'll say, man. Because there's the ideas of this industry and then there's the realities of this industry. You
Right,
know what I mean? A lot of people are operating in the ideal of it. They don't really know what it is, but just they think that, oh, everybody's friends, everybody's looking
right.
out for each other. And that because that person smiled at me and said and gave me their contact and said, give me a call when you come to LA, it's all good. The reality is it's not all good.
Right, right,
It's
right.
not. It's not. So, anytime you get a situation where, like with myself and Walter, that's a gift. That's
Right,
not guaranteed. It's not what is typically there. You know what I'm saying? So, I like to say that you don't come in this industry trying to make friends. Um, it's a blessing if you find one.
yeah,
And when I say friends, I mean genuine friends. Most people are going to be associates or people you've worked with, but then most of them are not going to be ride or die friends. That's just not the case. I think a lot of reasons for that. So it's a highly competitive industry. It's not enough opportunities. And when you start narrowing that down to melanated people, to men versus women, you get the list of opportunities. It gets even smaller a lot of
yeah,
times. So there's a lot of challenges that individuals are facing, and a lot of times the mindset of the society is, and unfortunately in our culture, we have a me mindset. We don't have a community mindset. And so everybody's after for what they can get. You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
And typically that leads you to a situation where people appear to be something that they're really not in your life. So networking, ideally, I would say to people, don't network under the pretense that I'm building friendships. I'm building people, associates, I'm building connections, but
right,
these are not the people that I open my soul to and invest every part of my dream into.
right, right,
No, everybody, you can't really make it in this industry without somebody else, you know what I'm saying, for the most part, generally speaking. So you do need connections, you do need relationships, and nepotism is a real thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Some people, frown at nepotism, but again, it's the idea of the industry or the real industry. There's a lot of people that have situations and opportunities, whether they deserve them or not.
yeah,
They knew somebody that knew them that was said yes to them, whether
yeah.
they qualified or not, right? And that's what you're up against. You know what I mean? So the other thing I say about networking is there's enough desperate people in the industry. We don't need any more.
Right. Say it again. You're right.
You have to know when
Right.
you're moving in desperation and your mindset and your attitude and your energy because
Yeah.
we have an abundance of that, right? And
Yeah.
And you don't know how sometimes desperation, whether you think you're hiding it or not, it's very hard to hide it from people with an experienced eye. But you don't know necessarily the traps that you fall into by
Mhm.
being desperate until you actually in the trap,
Right.
and then you're trying to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
Um, so networking at the end of the day is one being genuine as much as it's been as genuine as possible all the time, being respectful to any and everybody,
Right.
and it's not always about you. You know what I mean? It's not
Right.
always about you. I'll say this because, and I teach, right? So it's a lot of things I teach. I'm a little different as a teacher because I don't just teach talent. I tell my students all the time, I'm not here to teach your talent. I'm not even here to necessarily teach you the surface ideal of what being an actor is. I'm here to teach you to be an artist and
Right.
also teach you how to navigate and have mental, emotional, and spiritual welfare in this industry. Um, so when I say it's not always about you, what I'm saying is a lot of people come into this industry who don't have a resume, don't have any credentials, haven't really done anything, and they start saying, "Well, you got to pay me such and such because blah 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 blah," or they want to fight for some respect from people, and it's like you haven't even positioned yourself yet in this on your journey to get to the place you're trying to get to actually be able to do those things. So if you come on set and you complain and it's your first co-star job on a network show and you want to be treated like you're the number one on the call sheet,
Right.
you're not gonna make it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because but it don't take but a say. I remember being in that's a lot of examples, but I give you this one. I remember being at lunch on a show, and the PA is next to me, and I'm hearing talk on the radio, and an actor complained about the food, and so the PA was reporting the actor to the exec saying, "Hey, we got this actor here, and they saying such such about the food." And the voice I hear say next was, "Hey, send them home." So they get dismissed. They're dismissed because they complained about the catering on a network show.
Yep.
Now, if the star of the show complained about the catering, they're gonna fix it.
Yeah.
But you're not the star. You haven't earned that position, and you're making yourself way more important too soon. When that's not the fight. You're not in the fight to be that important right out the gate. You're in the fight to get to your destination and your goal. So
Yeah.
it's a little, there's things I can say about networking. It's a lot to say about it, but
Yeah, no, I've actually, I've like I said, I've had this conversation when I used to work on certain shows as well, behind the scenes and being a PA. I know what that life is like too.
right.
Yeah, we would be on the headsets and we're talking like we're the directors. Everybody has their, their in ears or whatever. We have headphones on or whatever, and we're notifying of what's going on the set because everybody's communicating with each other. And there's been situations where we literally, even at auditions. Like even when there's just like basic stuff, just sit out. Like we're not feeding you a whole buffet, but then we hear someone like talking about, oh, this is not right, and it's like, you see the one in the red shirt right here? Yeah, that's the one and it's already instantly everybody starts going around the whole production. They're like, well, go ahead and send them home. It's fine. We don't need them. Like we're good. We see what already ahead of time what it is. So it's funny you tapped into that on that because we
Yeah,
everybody's watching every room. Everybody's watching.
absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. That's why
um,
it's always about handling yourself professionally and treating everybody with respect. And
yeah.
nobody at the end of the day is above anybody. If you get caught up in that hierarchy of things, then you're probably going to be a part of the problem.
Definitely. And you kind of tapped in on some stat things real quick. We see sometimes in our community, and like you've been in front of and behind the camera, so you know what I'm about to tap into when I say this. Being typecasted. When an
Mhm.
actor walks into a room, especially African American males, it's either the gangster role or we see the slave role or we see, the father role. We always see this certain thing that always happens. What do
Right.
you say to individuals that are like, you know what, like every time I'm walking into this room, I'm automatically typecasted, or maybe you've been in that situation. Can you tap into that a little bit?
Yeah, it comes down to what's your brand and how do you want to manage and navigate your own career and your own image.
Right.
All right. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with typecasting. Let me start there. And the reason why I say that is because this is a business, right? We like
Yeah.
sometimes as artists, as actors, we want to put the art above everything. And it's like, I'm an artist, I got range and I can do all these other things. Well, that may be true.
Right.
But getting into the business right now, you don't have a name, nobody knows you. So right now, if you come through the door and all I see is a drug dealer,
Yeah.
but
That's
this
what I
drug dealer role, but
see.
this drug dealer role is going to put you opposite of Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
You don't have no credits. At that point, you say, you know what, let me not fight the machine in regards to, hey, let me take this role because why? What am I measuring this against? I'm measuring what am I benefiting from playing this drug dealer in this particular situation. Doesn't mean you play
Mm,
every drug dealer anytime in every show, because some
right.
drug dealer roles are not worth it, right? But if I'm looking at, I'm an unknown actor. I just came out of college, got my degree. They're going to cast me as a drug dealer. Tom Hanks is my lawyer, my defense lawyer. I'm going to take that.
Right.
I'm not gonna get hooked up on, oh, it's a drug dealer role. I'm tired of seeing black people play drug. Okay, yeah, you can do that, right? I'm going to take that because what I'm also saying is, ain't but so many drug dealer roles I'm going to do,
Right. Right. Right.
right? I'm not
Yeah.
going to be, I'm not going to be a drug dealer guy for next 10 films,
Yeah.
right? But this opportunity, I see where it can get me to my next step, right? And so it's about one, making decisions business wise that make sense for you, and two, morally that you can live with all the time. It has to be something you can live with. My first SAG project was a movie called Dogma, in which I played a thug. I think I played it, and that was back in 1999, 2000, somewhere in there. I think I've only played one other thug since then, and that was with Regina King's Let the Church Say Amen for BET.
Mm,
So, but that first thug got me my SAG card, and that's the only reason I did it because I had no interest in playing a bunch of thugs.
right.
But it's a business, and you
Yeah.
make business decisions. And it's like, what battles do you want to fight? Do you want to strategically move to through this business, or do you want to have a bunch of fights that keep you from? And then you 10 years in the game saying, why haven't I gotten anywhere? Because you didn't understand that you can play chess with this industry and make certain moves and make them work in your favor. And that's what it's really all about. And for me, recently, the most recent situation with me with casting was being cast too many times as a pastor. And
I
I
was
think
actually gonna ask you about, yeah.
it got to a point where people were writing roles for me as
Did
the
you pass?
pastor, and people literally in real life thought I had a church. Like I run into people and they're like, "Hey, baby, what's that church you pastor at?" I say, "I don't have a church." No, baby, I was at the church. Now I know you pastor, and I had these arguments with people in stores or whatever. And
Right.
so at this point, I said, "Well, I don't." But this is my brand, right? So I don't see myself having a career, playing a bunch of pastors. So that's when I have the conversations with my rep and say, "Hey, you know what? I need to turn down, any pastor roles unless it's something majorly significant or important, big
Right.
meaty stuff. I don't need to play any more pastor roles just to break out of that." But again, that's me managing the projection of my career and what I want, how I want to be seen. So there's nothing, at the end of the day, typecasting is part of the business. You make it work for you when it makes sense, and you cut it off when it doesn't.
Definitely. Is there anything that you have that's coming up? Any projects you want to talk about that is coming up that people can look out for? Your hands, like I said, is always
Yeah, yeah,
several
yeah,
different things. I saw you had a couple red carpets even recently, at some
yeah,
film festivals.
yeah.
Any projects that's coming up for you that you can talk about and tell us?
Yeah, again, second season of season 6 on the Oval, October the 28th. So make sure you guys tune in. If you're in the Rocky Mount, North Carolina area, I have a stage play, hilarious gospel stage comedy musical called Sanctified. It will be November the 1st in Rocky Mount. Tickets on sale now. Have two feature films in posts. The Stuttering Preacher, which is a satirical comedy. It's totally left field. Something you never seen me do before, so I'm wilding out in that one. But that's in post, and another feature called A Long Way Home, which was A Long Way Home was built specifically for my acting students in the state of South Carolina because they don't get a lot of opportunities.
Mm,
So what you'll see in that movie is the result of their years of training in South Carolina under my tutelage, and I wrote this specifically to showcase their hard work and
mm,
give them a vehicle to be seen. So it's like their calling card. Um,
definitely.
so it's that's a long way home. So that'll be out soon.
Definitely. So on sit down, we do three questions. We ask you three questions that come from the number three that is in our name, Snub. Um, First question to you is, what's three words that best describe who you are as an individual?
Wow. I wonder what I said last time. uh,
The
no,
redo.
yeah, we do. Yeah,
You
yeah,
might be in a new space this season, right?
yeah. I might be. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it may be new, but I do know that spiritual is a part of that, and always being connected to something higher and greater, and
Yeah,
knowing that there's a larger purpose, even for existence in this space and time that we have, um, as limited as it is. So I always feel a higher connection. You know, I mean, passion is always there. I mean, you got to have passion to even survive any of this.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So passion is there. Um, Third word. I don't know. I'm going blank on the third one, man. I'm going blank on the third one. I have to, man, I'm really curious about what I said in the others. I'm really curious about it now. Um, I don't know. I think maybe a dreamer, man. That
Oh,
comes to me right now. But that may be just be what Pisces are. So for Pisces, so they're
okay.
not dreamers. So
Um, and I kind of actually want before I get to the next question, I want to ask you, is there anything that you haven't touched as far as like a role that you're like, you know what, like you would love to see yourself play that you haven't played yet? And it's like, you know, I want to do that, and it would be a complete something odd that nobody would think that they would see you what could do.
well, I don't know if anybody would ever think that I would, be able to do. Well, let me say this. There's a lot of things I know I can do that
Right.
unless you've seen my work in the live theater space, you
Right.
haven't seen it in television and film yet.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that go beyond like a Richard Halson or any of the characters I've been in this stuff. Because there's a lot of times I haven't got the opportunity yet
Right.
to work in that way
For sure.
yet.
Yeah.
Um, and there goes like roles like Othello and Pericles and a lot of Harold Loomis and Joe Turner's coming going like a lot of those roles that really stretch you out there.
Yeah.
But as far as movies and television film, I want to do what everybody else wants to do, which is be a Marvel DC super.
Okay.
Who doesn't want to be,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what
Well,
I'm.
we gonna speak into the atmosphere. We gonna
Yeah,
speak it. It's gonna
yeah,
happen, right?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the most exciting thing to do, man, is be one of those guys.
Definitely. The second one is if you could be in anybody's shoes, past or present, for 24 hours, who would you want to be and why?
That I do
You
remember that one.
remember it?
And it's funny, man, because I thought about that even after the fact,
Really?
but Muhammad Ali, man, just to experience that kind of mental power and spiritual
Yeah.
strength and focus, and it just wasn't like, yeah, he was a boxer, but it wasn't just about the ring. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It wasn't just about what was happening in the ring, and even the what he put on display, it just seemed to be greater than what we was witnessing
Yeah.
all the time. And it's like to walk in his shoes to see what that's like.
Yeah.
I think would be amazing.
Definitely, definitely. And your final question, you know that many people when they see even us on Instagram, Facebook, any social media on TV, carpets, whatever it may be, they're looking up to us. And some people may be like, you know what, I want to get to that level. What's some inspirational words you can give to those people that are like, you know what, I see what he's doing. I want to get to that level. What can I do?
I mean, there's so much that I can say about a lot of this stuff, but
Just say whatever. Look, we here.
this the first thing I'll say, man, because again, it's like, what is it really, and what is it not, right? So,
Hey,
for us looking up to people, especially in social media and where you see them, I would say it's okay. It's okay to look up to them. Don't have any expectations because you might meet them, they might not be what you think they were or are.
exactly.
So let them inspire you through their work,
Right.
through their accomplishments, even through their interviews, because they may say some stuff in their interviews that really resonates and is profound. But just know the individual might not be the persona,
Yeah.
and the work might not reflect who that person is. And so don't hold them to that because I've seen too many times where people really look up to somebody and they meet them and then their world is crushed.
Hmm.
If you ever encounter these people, don't let who they are crush the inspiration that they gave you because the inspiration is the gift, not the person.
Right.
So I would say that. And then I would say use that to fuel you, but then know that you got to aspire to be your own greatness and not theirs. So you're not measuring yourself against what they're doing, but you can definitely use that to inspire you to pursue your own greatness,
Right.
uh, and know who you are. And it's less about emulating and trying to compare. It's more about establishing your own way and your own accolades and your own greatness. Um, yeah, so that's what I would say about that. And then the third part of that, inspiration is just a part of it. So there's a lot of people who aspired who are sitting on their sofa watching the football games and watching the basketball games, and they just sitting
Yeah.
there inspired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the inspiration is just a spark, right?
Yeah.
And it's also just the proof that it's possible,
Yeah.
right? But it's not going to become a reality until you do the work to make it your truth, right?
Yeah.
And so that means you have to put in the work. Whatever that work looks like for you, for wherever you're trying to go. For some people it's a hustle, and for some people, and hustle is a way of working. We
Yeah.
might not agree with your hustle. We might
Right.
not agree.
Right.
I agree that you went viral for doing this thing, but that's your
Right.
hustle. That's your form of work.
Yeah.
What I mean? For other people, work is really grinding and training and getting education and really digging and developing your talent and all this stuff. And that's what their work looks like. So either way, put in the work.
Definitely. I think you tapped into something there as well when you said, some people will look at you and they're say like, "Oh, I want to do this," or they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I want to write a book or I want to be an actor." And then like there's been many times people have had that conversation with me. I'm like, "All right, so what are you doing at this and this time? Let's like meet up real quick, go grab some coffee and we can discuss it." "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be watching this game real quick." And I'll be looking like yeah, this might not be for you, buddy. Like you don't even know them late different hours that switch up. Like because
Yeah,
you could be missing out on experiences that, or you could be bottling something that could take you to the next level. And
yeah,
it's honestly sometimes there's sacrifices we know that can happen where it's like I have this project, and then later on it's like, are you gonna really work on it, or are you gonna go do this? You know?
yeah. I tell my students a lot of time because again, I coach, teach mindset and perspective.
Hmm.
Because you change your mindset, you change your perspective, you change your belief system.
Exactly.
Um, but I teach them. I had the thought, and it just. Oh yes, here we go. One of the things I say is that there's nothing, whether it's the entertainment industry or not, there's nothing that comes with success that comes without sacrifice. You have to go into it
Yeah.
ready to sacrifice. There's
Yeah.
too many people that go into it wanting to hold on to comfort and safety and security. And
Yeah.
it's like you're not going to get to that success without letting go of that security, without jumping over that ledge, without knowing where you're going to land sometimes, and just having faith. It's a faith walk, and your faith has to be so strong that you know that you're going to land on something. But you have to take the risk. You have to give up certain things, some luxuries in life, things that you enjoy. And one thing I say is, don't necessarily live for the life you have, live for the life you want.
Yeah.
Because if you live for the life you have right now is going to take priority.
Yeah.
So if you like that, watching the game, not me, I'm a football fan too, but I haven't seen a game in the whole season.
Yeah.
And I got friends. My friends are like, "Hey man, you see the game?" And I'm like, "I got to go to the ESPN highlights or something," because and while they're watching the game, I'm living in the life that I want, not the life
Yeah.
that I have. The life I have says sit down and watch the game because that's what we like to do.
Yeah.
But that time I'm watching the game, if I watch two games, it was that 4 6 hours out of my day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I could have worked on this script.
Yeah,
I could have
definitely.
working on this presentation or this pitch. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by, it doesn't mean that you can't take time and take breaks to
Right.
recalibrate and reward yourself because you are a human being. You got to have a life.
Right.
Just don't live for the life you have unless you're totally satisfied with that. If you try to get to a new life, you got to put that work and sacrifice a lot along the way. And sometimes got to find a new way to enjoy the pursuit.
Definitely. And how can people find you on social media? How can they follow you? Give that information to the audience.
Yeah, I can be followed on all social media platforms at I am Javon Johnson, and website is iamjavonjohnson.com as well. So yeah,
Definitely. Well, Mr. Johnson, we
got it
did
in.
it again. I appreciate you more than you know. We have did it again, and like I said, I'm thankful for the opportunity to speak with you. And each time that I have spoken with you, got nuggets of my own. I guess maybe it was for me. Who knows? But but it's definitely an honor. And everybody, make sure you tune into the Oval. And definitely follow him and anything that you have coming up. Please let us know. We'll definitely love to support you and continue to do what you do.